Hello. Hello. Welcome. Hi, Vessel. Congrats on first. How are you doing? Hmm. I hope everyone had a good weekend and is having a good start to the week. Going to have a good start to the week. Right, it's 10, almost 11 a.m. here, which means it's not quite end of the weekend yet in some parts of the world. Um, yeah, I hope you're enjoying or you have enjoyed that and are going to get a good start into next week. Time zones. Yeah. Um, yeah, welcome again, everyone. I am once again searching for music. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so once again talking about tabletop role-playing games. Hooray. Um, I have been reading some new games. Or not new to me. Other games. Um, because I want to prepare to play them at some point this year. Once I am not as occupied with some other stuff that I'm doing right now. Singing, for example. The singing thing is intensive. Holy heck, is gonna be very very intense and gonna take up a lot of time and energy and just mental capacity for the next couple of months. Um, but yeah, once that's done, so I'll be able to like prep and maybe organize some things here and there, but I won't actually have the time and energy to run any games um until September at the least, which is only 3 months away. Holy heck, where is 2025 gone? It only just turned 2025. This is wild. Uh yeah, but so in the last quarter of the year ish, I should hopefully be able to get some games together. I need a good like organizational tool. I just realized time organization tool. There must be something online where people can just mark their times that they are available and such, and hopefully converts it to their own time zone, right? Because that's kind of important. Yeah, but that's in the works right now. But until then, I am just here talking about, tabletop role playing games in general. Hooray! Um, and yeah, I don't have a fixed topic prepared. Like I this is not a lecture series, right? It could never be a lecture series or anything like that, right? Where I have certain topics to prepare that I prepare and then just present them. That's not what this is. That's for YouTube videos. This is interactive, right? And and so it's mostly based on what is coming up, what has come up in discussions, what people might ask, what they're interested in, and so on. Like last time I talked 2 hours about dungeons. Why? Because the topic came up. You know, we're just talking about dungeons, and there's a lot to say about them, and so that ended up dominating the um the stream last time, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. Um, yes. So,
Hello there.
oh hey, hi Kitty. How are you doing? How goes your Monday? I hope it's been going well. Oh, hydrate. Yes, very good. It is. Oh, we just got a heat warning. It's been going well. That is good to hear. Oh man, yeah, I just looked at hydrate. Oh yeah, I should probably drink more because it's hot. Um, and then I look over to like I have a little weather ticker on my taskbar, and right now it's 32 degrees. But when I looked over, it said like, "Oh yeah, extremely hot weather." So hooray! What do we have right now? It's not too humid, luckily, not yet, but it is 32 degrees. So, okay, yeah, it is. I feel the 32 degrees, but it's telling me that right now it's only 7% humidity, I think. Is that what it's saying? I don't think it's rain percentage. Uh, oh, never mind. It is rain percentage. 7% rain percentage. We have 80% humidity. Never mind then. You look like you're standing like a ballerina, am I? I guess that's like the common VTuber PNG, not PNG, the Live 2D model T pose, I guess. Um, it's yeah. There is no such thing as arm movement or leg movement with this model, so it is what it is. But yeah. But yeah, it's okay. So it is very humid. I was like 7% humidity. That can't be right. It's rain percentage, rain chance. Yeah. So it might rain this afternoon, which is ah well. Um, I was looking at your foot. Oh, yeah. I am? Is that's not hold on. Like this? Is this is I'm not quite seeing it. Maybe it kind of looks like feet. I'm not sure. I don't. Not really, no. Is it like the spread? Huh. Is it like the pose? Is are you talking about that? Like what would this even be like a power pose or something? Um yeah, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. Is where you cut off at the leg. Yeah. So is that is that because it looks like feet, the tops of the boots? If that is what you mean, then yeah, I think I can kind of see it. See now the right leg is yeah, okay. Oh, okay. Right, yeah. Now I see it. Okay. Yeah, no, that's just the top of the boots. The legs are very long. I just realized the legs are kind of long. Um, I never noticed that, but okay. Well, now we know. Okay. I must I'm not actually very tall. I never told the artist my height or anything. She drew it like this. Um, which I mean, no complaints, you know, it's just interesting to see. Oh, yeah, the legs are kind of long. Especially the lower legs. Um, I'm not actually tall. I'm what? 178? Yeah. So um so yeah, that's okay. But yeah, I I don't know. I'm a little bit that that threw me in for a loop, not gonna lie, but it's okay. You know, that's streaming. Things happen. I am I woke up like what? When did I wake up? I forgot. I forgot when I woke up. Like an hour and a half ago, and I'm still slowly getting into gear. So hooray for that. Um, hey, I'm on. Good morning. Oh heck, you're up early. How are you doing? How was your weekend? I hope it's been going well. So how is everyone? Ugh. My weekend hasn't ended yet. Wait, are you still up? It's like what, 5 a.m. over there? It's 5 a.m. in Europe, right? Central Europe. Are you still up? Um, I read a bit and lost track. Okay. A bit, right. So it's technically still Sunday. It's Sunday until you go to sleep. All right. Go to sleep, Amon. Seriously. This is not healthy. Don't feel like you have to hang out here or anything. Please take care of yourself. Don't don't drag through the entire night and the morning. Can't be healthy. I've done that and it didn't help me. Um yeah. Please go sleep if you feel like you need to. Oh man. Um yeah, no. It's- but I get that. I totally get that. Sometimes I'm so immersed into something like reading something or playing something or watching something and then suddenly it's like, "Oh, it's 5 a.m. The birds are out. It's the sun is rising. Hooray." What do now? I had a short nap, but something was odd the rest of Sunday. Oof. The sleep schedule lately Sunday was all over the place. Oh no. I feel you though. I'm trying to get a more regular sleeping schedule, and I need to wake up early now during a couple days of the week because I need to teach a morning class. And then the rest of the week I'm just like, go to bed at 2 a.m. or so, who cares? 3 a.m. And then those days it's like, oh, I have to crawl out of bed early. And then I hate myself. And yeah, so I'm trying to get a slightly more regular sleeping schedule in. And by me still being tired and yawning and such, you can tell that it's not quite working. Not fully. I'm not quite there yet. So, yeah, as what's happening. Hi, Yui Tao. Hi, hi. How are you doing? Welcome. How goes? How was your weekend? I hope it was all good. Um, prepare real quick. Uh, okay. I had a brainstorm about Arachne and prepared for today's TTRPG game with my repaired PC. Today's, as in like Sunday today or Monday today? Ah, because dang, Monday evening. Oh no, then you should definitely go to bed. Amon, please. Don't let this like completely mess up your Monday. Holy heck. Take care of yourself. I know what it's like, and down that road madness lies. Um, yeah. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Um, I used to read many horror novels during the night. Oof. Those are really good at keeping someone awake because they're super tense. Um, and scary. I remember as a kid, I used to read like a lot of novels and stories and such, and I uh, I would always read something before sleeping. So I would just like before bed, I would just read stories and such. Um, and at one point, I was visiting my grandparents, and the book I had brought with me, I was done. So I was like, oh, what do I read now? And then my grandpa just kind of looked through his books. It's like, oh, this is a book with stories, right? Let's look at. You can have this and read. And it's like, okay. And I don't know how old I was, 12 or so, something like that, 12, 13. Um, so I was just lying in bed reading, and I wasn't quite aware of what I was reading, and then I started having nightmares and was unable to really sleep. And I was just like, what is going on? I'm never scared of like dark rooms or like not being scared and unable to fall asleep and such. And then next day I was super tired and my grandma noticed and she's like, "What happened to you?" Right? And I just couldn't sleep. I had nightmares the whole night, etc. And then she looked at the book that my grandpa gave me, and the title was something like 13 Horror Stories or something like this. It's like, oh, yeah. Like, why would you give a kid something like this to read before bed? Um, so yeah, she took it away. So I don't know what happened with the book. But thinking back at it, it's like, yeah, there was some creepy stuff in there and some very scary things. And I wasn't prepared for it. But yeah, that stayed with me. But I use a meditation hypnosis for such more to find the sleep mode. Wow, that's very advanced. Here's a book for you to read, The Dunwich Horror. Yeah, I don't remember. I think the book got lost over the years or something, right? I don't even know. Maybe my grandma was very impulsive, so maybe she threw it out. I don't know. Um, which is a pity. I like now I would have liked to read that. Um, now that I know, but it's like but yeah, meditation hypnosis, that sounds very advanced. It's always something I feel like, oh, it would be cool to train something like this, but I don't know where to start and like if I'm doing it correctly or not. So something from Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah. Two. Hi, Vitalina. It's not two today. Not today. Not today. um. But yeah. Welcome. Hi. How was your weekend? I hope it was all good. Um. Yeah. So that's for so much for horror. I mean, I love reading horror stories. I'm just really bad with other horror media. I tried to find my teddy bear for today. Yes. Yes. Um. Do get some rest. What is that? Is that a hard hat? Shogun Short? What? Okay. These all of these emotes that exist. George. Who is George? I don't know. But okay. Um all right. We're over here. Osha George. I don't know what that is. I know what Osha is, but I don't know if there's like a character called Osha George. Yeah, I can't find anything. Today we tried to investigate the arson in the king's warehouse. Ooh, well, good luck with that. He's just here to do health and safety checks. Don't worry about it. Okay. I don't keep the caustic slime next to the food. No such thing here. Why would I even have caustic slime? It's not caustic slime. I don't have any caustic slime. Ignore what I said. Um, and I don't have pencils sharpened so much that they become a lethal weapon. We have a few hints, but they don't point in one direction so far. Well, then I hope that the GM will give you good hints to continue at some point. Um, right. Oof. Fun fact. There's an OSHA subsection called steel erection. That's the only thing I know about OSHA. Okay. A bit contradictory. Oof. Then best of luck with that. I mean, OSHA, there's so much to that. The only thing I know is things like railings. A lot of places don't have railings or like safety gear, and people are like, "Oh, that's an OSHA violation." Awkward pain. Hello, welcome, welcome. How was your weekend? Um, I'm afraid you may have lost your streak again. because I streamed yesterday for a special event, um, part of a BIPOC rate train, and I had a slot there. So yeah, that may have happened. There's different health and safety group here that I do know the rules of. Oh, okay. I don't know much about health and safety groups and such because it hasn't really been part of my job. I'm upset I got sick again. Oh no, not again. That always sucks. Like getting sick is such a big like it's not even something I have to do, but it still takes away time and energy. Yeah, I hope it'll get better soon. I hope you'll get better soon. Wish you all the best. Speedy recovery. Yeah. Also been keeping up with the LA protests and the overforce on the federal government. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's been happening. Um that's the thing. And the reactions to that are I mean on the one hand very encouraging to see people supporting it, but on the other hand, expectedly disappointing of people who aren't aware of the state of things and how they have been for the past few decades, suddenly realizing, wait a minute, things aren't actually great, and they only just realized that. So, yeah, I also did a bit of game programming. Ooh, that sounds exciting. That's really, really cool. Do you use a particular game engine or something for that? Or is it really just programming your own thing? Um, like the only games I really made, besides things on like RPG Maker and such that I've done here on stream, is like using Excel, Microsoft Excel, to make games. Built a prototype. I'm trying Godot. Ah, yeah, that's one. And RPG Maker. Yeah, Godot is also one I want to get into. It seems really, really flexible and really powerful. So that's definitely one I want to learn more about. But it seems a bit less um what's the word? A higher entry curve, a higher learning curve than something like RPG Maker. Like RPG Maker is super beginner friendly. Right? You don't have to know anything. You just click around a bit, paint some stuff, and then yay, right? Godot seems a bit more involved. Excel is so extremely powerful. It is like back in the days. It's like, oh wait, you can make all of these things in Excel. You can create games in there. So yeah, I mostly chose it because it wasn't Unity and it has really good community. Yeah, yeah. I think Godot really rose to popularity when Unity pulled its stunt and was like, "Yo, we own all of it," or what was it? No, you pay us lots of money. Yeah, essentially, we own all of your money now. Um, and people were like, "Yeah, I'm jumping ship. Hi, Godot," and that just yeah shifted. RPG Maker is really hand holding, but also it limits it because of that. Yes, there's definitely some heart limits. I don't know if it's heart limits or how much you can do with plugins and such, but I look at games like Final Fantasy or a lot of other JRPGs and it's like, yeah, there's things in there that you couldn't pull off with RPG Maker, I think. Um so yeah, definitely. If I make an RPG, I will 100% use RPG Maker. Yes. Like that is very good for that. And I don't know if there's other games you can do. It would be interesting to see people push RPG Maker far and see just what kind of games you can make with it. That are not necessarily a more traditional RPG, or heck, even like the type of horror games and such that have come out of it. Um, that make like a farming sim or something, right? You could probably. I think it should be possible to make one. It would be very fiddly, but you could probably do it. Um, or some sort of management sim or something. I don't know. Um, but yeah, Godot is definitely. I do want to eventually look at it and learn. I've been looking at a couple of tutorials, but it's very much like, oh, how to make a simple platformer in Godot. It's like, oh dang, that's already very specific, right? So I've yet to find a good overview of like, oh, what is actually Godot? Maybe it's also impossible because it is so broad. I've seen a bunch of really interesting non-RPG games made in it. Yeah, definitely. So people who really understand it and people who probably push plugins very very far can likely um like do some very imaginative things. Hold on. I need to turn on the aircon. It's getting incredibly hot. It's just getting warmer. It's now 33 degrees. So yeah, I will be back like 2 minutes. I need to turn on the aircon. I will die in here. Hold on. Okay. All right. Now that the aircon is on, sorry I bumped the mic with my water bottle. Okay. Um. Yeah. Like I said, I don't have a topic prepared for today. I was just gonna talk about whatever comes up, whatever like happens to be of interest. What have we talked about so far? Prepping. We've talked about some general principles of prepping and running. We've talked about a lot about dungeons. Um, what else is there? There's a lot actually. Oh, that reminds me. In 3 weeks, I'm going to be DMing a Blades in the Dark. Oh, awesome! I love Blades in the Dark. Have you played before? I adore that game. It is really, really good. A lot of good things. No? Okay, then let's talk about Blades in the Dark today. Why not? Let's talk about Blades in the Dark. Are you using the supplement, the Deep Cuts supplement, or not? Because I think it adds, or not adds, but like it changes how some of the rules work to make it slightly more streamlined. Would you recommend? Um, so the good thing about Deep Cuts is it's very modular, right? So Blades in the Dark works fine on its own. It works really, really well. But some of the things can be a bit confusing and obfuscated, and especially like some rules are a bit finicky for my taste. Um, and what Deep Cuts does is it takes a lot of these finicky rules and just says, here's how you can simplify them, or not simplify, streamline them, right? Here's what you can do to take the rules and not have to like keep 10 things in mind, but only 5 things in mind. And it's modular, right? So you have rules for how to roll the dice, you have rules for how to handle inventory, you have rules for how to handle downtime, you have rules for this and that, and you can say, I want to take the downtime rules and those rules and nothing else, right? So you can definitely do that. um it mainly reduces the amount of die rolling that happens in the game, and it recontextualizes die rolls to make it more obvious what you're actually rolling and how to interpret the die rolls. So essentially, in normal games in the Blades in the Dark, a die roll is a success roll, right? As is tradition in most RPGs, right? You roll to see if the character succeeds on the task or not. And then depending on how well you roll, you succeed or don't succeed, and then you also get consequences or not, and so on. And that's perfectly serviceable. But in Deep Cuts, it recontextualizes that and says, um, you don't roll to see if the PC succeeds, you roll to see if they successfully escape consequences, which is a different philosophy on what die rolls are supposed to do. Um, and it basically says the PCs are capable people who are specialized in the tasks they're doing, and they will more likely than not succeed on all their tasks. They will succeed on everything they will do. Failure is not the part that's interesting. What's interesting is they will get the job done or get the task done, but there might be consequences. And it reframes everything as more of a, so now you don't have to worry about thinking of all of these different things. You really only think about consequences, and you that gives a very handy table and some handy guidelines on how do you reframe thinking about consequences, um to get an idea, because the point of Blades is that you establish consequences before you roll, right? It's part of the conversation. It's saying, the PC saying, I want to try this, I want to do this, right? And then the GM then says, okay, what skill do you want to use? What action do you want to do? Want to use with this task? And the player gets to choose, right? The player gets to choose the action they want to do, and then the GM can either say, "Yeah, no, that's too far fetched. You can't do that," or they can say, "All right, you can use that, but it's gonna be more risky. It's gonna carry more consequences." So things are like, "Oh, you can probably uh uh, if you run into a guard and you want to let the guard have the guard let you pass, you could use command, right, to intimidate or browbeat the guard into letting you pass. But using sway might be more successful, might be better, might move from control to risky. Not just that, uh, that as well, um, but also like the types of consequences you can get. I think it is determined by moving from control to risky or risky to desperate. Um, Is deep cuts part of the SRD? Let me check. I know the base Blades rules are part of the SRD, which means they're open and free for everyone. Blades in the Dark. I don't know if the deep cuts supplement is part of the SRD. Game rules doesn't look like it. So I don't want to. Yeah. Okay, so it's perfectly fine talking about all of the base rules on stream and even referencing them verbatim and such as they are in the SRD because that's open and free for everyone. But the supplement is not. So I don't want to like reveal everything. I would like to like support indie RPG creators. You know, if you like Blades in the Dark, buy the book, and such. I did. If you can't afford it, or the base rules are all free. Reading off of bladesinthedark.com. Yeah. But the deep cut supplement you have to buy, I think. Which I have here. I bought the PDF version. Let me Fortune Dark or Deep Cuts. Here. Yeah, so it changes it from an action roll to a threat roll. So basically you evade the threat. Position or effect are still assumed to be risky standard. Establishing the threat. Which is a reduced consequence. No, it completely changes what control risky desperate means. Yeah, so it's not, it moves it from control to risky. It completely changes. So it's because in standard Blades in the Dark, right, you have a lot of these going on. You have that's why I like deep cuts, because deep cuts formalizes all of these terms and all of the thinking. It becomes more structured. So in Blades in the Dark, okay, Blades in the Dark, let's do this. So why I like this system and what I think other games or as a GM in general, you can learn from the game Blades in the Dark, right? Okay, so Blades in the Dark, how it works is, for those who don't know, you play a group of scoundrels. The game calls you that. You play a group of scoundrels in a Victorian steampunk magi tech horror city that is overcrowded in a certain way, and no one can really leave because some time ago the sun exploded, so the sky turned dark, the oceans turned into black ink, and all the dead came back as ghosts, so they're all now roaming all of the wilderness that is outside the city, and you have huge lightning barriers erected around the city, like completely encircling it to keep out all of the ghosts, right? So ghosts and electricity doesn't mix. Which means no one can really leave. Unless you go through controlled checkpoints like the train station and such, right? So what does this do? It means that your group of scoundrels is desperate to, make a living somehow. But the city is already quite full. Every bit of territory is already controlled by some sort of gang out there. And now you come in as newcomers and you're like, yo, we want a piece of the pie because that's the only thing left. And the reason you're trapped in the city is essentially after you pull off a score and manage to piss off some people, you can't just leave the city for a month and wait for things to die down. You're stuck in there with the consequences, right? So the entire game is a game of actions and their consequences. That's like the main theme of the game: actions and their consequences. And the basic idea of the rolls is you roll a bunch of d6, roll a pool of d6. I can no longer write. And then you look at the highest die. Right? If you get a 6, you get a full success. If you get a 4 or a 5, you get a partial success or success at cost. And at 1 to 3, you get the fail. Right? So that's the basic idea. And what Blades in the Dark kind of does is it has all of these, oh, do I have controlled position? So before each roll, that's the idea. Before each roll, you establish all of the parameters of the roll, which is why once it's like you roll last, essentially, right? So the player says, to return to the guard example, I want to get past this guard, right? And I want to like my character is good at commanding. I have like 3 points in command. Holy heck, I get to roll 3 dice. It's not bad. And I may have like no points in sway, which are like the two main um social skills in the game, social actions. So you say, I want to command the guard, right? I want to be like, the guard is probably used to taking orders, etc. So I want to like, um, I don't know, browbeat this guard or just persuade him to let me through using command. And the GM can say, okay, but command might draw certain bad consequences with it, right? And then you establish, well, if you don't completely get it, then the guard definitely knows that something is not right, right? He might let you through, but he is also going to report this to any superiors, because what is going on, right? Who is this person suddenly giving me orders? Um, and so that could be the consequence. And then you can say, well, what if I try sway? Well, if you try sway, then the consequences are not going to be as harsh. So the report to superiors might be like, oh, the alert clock, you have an alert clock, right? Which is like this or so, and then you write alert, which means if this clock fills up, um, then the guards are becoming alert and saying, okay, something is going down here. It doesn't mean they found you. It doesn't mean they're chasing after you right away or anything. It just means, oh, they're on alert. And if you get any consequences for your command roll, I'm gonna fill in 2 ticks of this alert clock, right? And then the player can say, that's quite a bit. Does someone else want to try with sway, right? And then with sway, you can say, all right, with sway, then maybe as a consequence, you owe this guard a favor later on, right? It's just gonna something's gonna come up, right? And that just drives further story, and then you're gonna owe this guard a favor, and it's like, okay, that's a better consequence right now than having the alert clock filled up halfway. So let's do that instead. And then the player can roll with sway and look at how the roll goes, and they get in, and maybe they owe the guard a favor or not, right? Or maybe they have to spend some money or whatever, right? Depends on the situation. And then they're in, etc. And that's how it goes. So the idea is that you have this conversation before the roll where a player can kind of mull over different approaches to the action, and then the GM then, and it doesn't have to be all in the GM. The GM can also say, I can't think of any good consequences right now. Anyone got any ideas? Right? And the game explicitly encourages that. There's a lot of player participation. So if your players are used to something like D&D, where it's all the GM feeds you everything, you will have to train them to think of Blades in the Dark style. It's completely different, right? Blades in the Dark. So what is Blades in the Dark? Blades in the Dark is a player-driven sandbox, and it is encapsulated in this microcosm of a role. A player-driven sandbox. So the GM can very much say, "Yo, I don't have any ideas for interesting consequences." This seemed to be a really collaborative game. Yes, definitely. And um right. And the reason, or not the reason, but like how it manifests as a player-driven sandbox is that you as the GM don't give them an adventure. The players decide on what they want to do. So the players pick a crew type, right? In my game that I streamed live. Oh, if it helps you, you might want to. You can look at that. Right, there are some actual plays online, some by John Harper himself that I've also watched to help prepare. Um, if you want to, right, if you think it's of interest, the VODs of my campaign are still on. It's like 10 sessions or something. So basically, the players are all part, or the characters are all part of a crew. Right. In my game, they were drug dealers. Right. So they had something like Crimson Mushroom or something like that. Crimson Shrooms. That was their drug, their new thing that they discovered that they were hawking everywhere. Um, and so the way the game is set up by the rule book is basically you have the entire city. You would love to see that. Awesome. It should be on my bot channel. If you do, I have that on here. Ah, it should be in its own playlist. I have it marked in playlists. So yeah. Um, so they're in this city, right? And in the book already, this is not in the SRD, but I'm not giving out details, I'm just saying in the book you have all of these factions, right? You have all of the factions listed with quite a few details. Things like who is leading them, uh where are their headquarters, where is their turf, right? What are their goals, right? Is there any trouble that they have? And then things like allies and enemies, right? And every single faction in the game has this kind of a blurb to it. You're welcome. Um, right, every single faction has this blurb, which is quite useful, and then you flesh it out as you play, right? Or before you play if you want. And the idea is there's something like, I don't know, 100 factions in there. Um, the aim is not to look at every single faction. The aim is, as the crew gets created, as the player characters get created, they they choose, oh, where is our turf? So they choose one of the districts, and then you can look at, okay, which factions are active in this district. And then the crew decides, well, who are we going to be allied with? Who are we going to be like enemies with? Who do we owe a debt to? And so on and so forth. So they pick like 3 or 4 factions already to have a certain relationship with. Um, and those are the factions you use. You use those, and you might use 1 or 2 other factions that get involved. The Blue Coats, right? The local police force is an excellent faction to always have in there because they're omnipresent. Um, in a way, so you just have like 5 or 6 factions, and then you just look at them and look at, okay, what do they want? How might they react to player characters doing things? And that's it. And you ignore the rest for now. And if the game eventually moves on and involves a certain faction here or there, well, then you look them up and then you include them. But in the beginning, you only have a handful, right? And the idea is The players always have very clear goals of what they're supposed to do on their crew sheet and on their personal sheets, right? So as a crew sheet, they always want to maybe um, get more territory because that helps them, right? They get mechanical bonuses for getting territory, or maybe they want to um, establish like a market, find a new buyer. Well, then that might mean eliminating an old seller or something, or I don't know, sneaking in and having a social rendezvous with a potential buyer, or enlist the help of some other gang, right? And all of these things, and these are all player driven goals, right? So the players choose what they want to do, um, and then you just say, all right, let's roll with that, and then you just proceed like that. So you tell the players, oh, there's this faction, there's that faction, and if there's some big changes, like some faction as like finishes a goal or makes a move, right, declares war on the players or something for some reason, the faction shouldn't like do this as much without the players input. Like if a faction declares war on the players, and the players need to know, oh yeah, we did that. um but maybe if they are at war with a faction, then it's like, oh yeah, this other faction, you make some die rolls in the background and you roll really well. It's like, yeah, this faction just took over your turf here, right? So you lost it. Please strike it out of the crew sheet. And it's like, uh-oh. And then the players can go, yeah, no, we're gonna take that back. We're gonna take that back and then some, and so on, right? And they choose this. They gonna go on their adventures, and that's the whole player driven aspect of it. Ads are gonna hit, so I will pause with this, and I will take a quick look at what's on in the SRD, um, to refamiliarize myself. Okay, so none of the lore and the setting is in the SRD, but the rules are stress and trauma, progress clocks, action rolls. Yeah, effect, position and effect. Yeah, consequences and harm.
Endure. In enduring, grow strong.
So nice. I will get a drink and be back after the ads. All right. All right. Yeah, I mean, I have played this game several times before, but the rules are, it is a very crunchy game, which is gonna be interesting. It's like some people might think, oh, but it's a narrative game. How can it be crunchy? No, get narrative games can totally be crunchy. And Blades in the Dark is a perfect example for that. Uh, Fortune roll, gathering information, faction. Ah, yeah, here the faction game. Uh, Characters, character creation, player playbooks are essentially the classes. Crew, which behaves like its own playbook. For the main thing on time. Yeah, okay. Sources, blade supplements. Oh, there's novels. Are you back? Welcome back. Um, yeah, I've just been looking through Looking through the SRD. Lucifera, hi! Happy Pride indeed. How are you doing? Uh, my keyboard is protesting. Did I get that right? Is that... Oh, I missed out a space. Yeah, my keyboard is like... Uh... There we go. Sorry you missed your slot. No, 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 no. I realized that my slot was at a very weird time for many people. That's why I took it. You know, I realized that being here in Asia means that I tend to get slots that are at a good time for me, but like everyone else is asleep, basically. It's either late at night or early morning for everyone else. So it's okay. It's okay. You know, you rest when you need to. It's all good. But yeah, Lucifera organized the BIPOC Pride Rate Train that I did, that was a part of yesterday. It's around dinner time here. It's around dinner time here. That puts you in... I wait. West Coast. That puts you on the West Coast. Um yeah. Eastern Europe isn't much better if your friends are all in the US. Yeah, most of your friends. It's almost 7 a.m. for me. Oh my goodness. Wait, and you're still up? Wait. 7 a.m.? 3, 4. Where? So it's a 5 hour difference? Oh wow, that puts you very much in Eastern Europe. Like Greece. That row of Eastern Europe. What, Greece, Bulgaria? Uh Somewhere around there. Okay, that's an adorable bonk emote. Holy heck. Been staying up most nights to monitor things, but not so bad since I work the night shift. Oof. Okay. Yeah. If you don't want me to, just a general warning out there, if you don't want me to kind of say where you might be, don't tell me what time you have, because I love maps. And I had to deal with time zones for the past like 15 years or so, 15, 20 years ish. Uh, of like doing a lot of things, community management and so on, professional stuff. I had to deal with time zones. So, uh, yeah, the amounts of times I have looked at and memorized the time zone map, right? Consider my lips sealed. You know already mine, but it's almost 10 p.m. Yeah, it's almost 10 p.m. Then I know where you are. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Um, right. So it's no, but for reals, it's like if you tell me what time you have right now and such, I will try to guess where in the world you are. It's just my brain. I apologize. But yeah, I've done things like manage an international fan community. I've like in my professional work at times, like I was the person usually dealing with international things and then having um to look at, like, remind people like time zones exist, by the way. If we have someone in the US, we need to be aware that they are like 13 hours behind us and things like that, right? So, well, no, not 13 hours. If I was in Germany, it's more like 6 or 7 hours, right? etc. Besides my time zone, I'm very much a regional mind. Yours as well, yeah. Um, but yeah, it's a whole thing. Um, in fact, it just happened. It just happened with my current job. My guess is Alberta or Eastern BC. Yeah, my guess was Alberta as well. Um, so so in my current job, so I teach German, and one of my new students, is in the US. We have a winner, yay! Is in the US who, for some reason, found this tiny little German school in Taiwan. And is like, I'm gonna do online classes here and learn some German. I don't know how she found us. No idea, but okay, whatever. And I don't arrange classes or anything. Like the school does, right? The secretary does. Like she gets all the messages and she discusses times and payment and blah and all of that stuff, and then just tells me, "Oh, we have a new student. When can we arrange a time, etc." And then I said, "Okay, so she wants to learn at her evening and my morning." So I said, "Well, okay, Tuesday mornings work for me." And then the secretary reported back, da da, and so on. And suddenly, at some point, I receive a message saying, "Oh, there was a miscommunication during the whole planning the time thing. Essentially, the secretary forgot that time zones exist, and didn't realize that uh, Tuesday morning in Taiwan is Monday evening in the US, not Tuesday evening in the US. And the student is not able to do Monday evenings. So it's like, can we change, please?" So yeah. Uh, sure. So now it's in different time and it got delayed and blah. And yeah. So time zones, fun thing. But yeah, it's doing some chores. Lurk. Okay, thank you for the lurk and have fun with the chores. And thank you for coming by. Um, but yeah, Blades in the Dark. Let's return to this. So yeah, so the idea is that the players themselves decide what they want to do. And the game gives quite a bit of guidance on that already. Um, Based on, like, they can just look at their crew sheet, for example, and see, oh wait, what's this? We can take over a warehouse. That means we get more money when we go on a score or something. Or I don't know, right? I haven't memorized it, but it's basically how that works. Like, oh, that's cool. Do we want to get the warehouse? Right? And then it's like, okay, but that is a score. You have to actually go out and do things in order to get the warehouse. And then you just, as the GM, then you think of, all right, so what would it take to get a warehouse? And you can prepare these kind of things, right? You can look at, this is the kind of things you can prepare. You can look at the crew type that the players picked. You can look at what playbooks they have picked, what factions they are at war with or together, allied with. Happy Slime Zone. Yay. Um, and then do some preparations, and even if it's just like a list of ideas that you roll on, right? Or you find some adventure generators or adventure tables, or some random like there's a lot of these random tables for RPGs out there that for like, oh, if the players want to go on a heist, or if the players want to infiltrate, or like 1d20 dangers that lurk in a warehouse or something like that, right? You can have those kind of things. Um and just prepare some of those if you want, if you need. Um and that's it. And say, okay, let's do this. You're gonna take over the warehouse. And this is where my first big tip comes in that I only learned very slowly while running the game. And this is probably something that a lot of GMs will have to learn as it goes on, because it's something kind of unique to this game. And not something that you really learn in other games, and that is using the engagement role and flashbacks. So the game has these two mechanics called the engagement role and the flashbacks. And flashbacks are the big one. So essentially, flashbacks are during a score, not flashbangs, flashbacks. During a score, the players can just say, start, yes, the engagement role starts the score. Yes, exactly. And that is a very powerful thing. So in my game, that kind of happened that we spent like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes of players just discussing plans and discussing, oh, but if we want to go on the score, we need to prepare this first, and then we need to do this, we need to think about that. And I just kind of let it go because I didn't know better. But this is where flashbacks come in. If players want the score, want to do the warehouse, don't let them plan. Don't even let them get a word out, right? You just cut to the scene. You immediately go through the checklist of the engagement role things. It's like, okay, how do you want to enter? What kind of a score is this? How do you want to enter? Can anyone help you? Is anyone hindering you? All right, and then roll. Boom, you're in. Right? 5 minutes. Get the score started. And if in the score the players realize, hold on, I want to prepare some explosives here, then you go, okay, this is a flashback. Just do one. Just I don't know, preparing explosives sure is not a big deal for your crew. Just roll on, I don't know, tinker or consort or however you want to get the explosives. Do you build them yourself? Do you um get them from a contact, right? Just make an appropriate roll and then look at the roll and say, okay, so you have some good quality explosives with you right now. Awesome, right? Just do that. Really lean into the flashbacks. That is a big thing. So players will have the urge because this is a heist, right? And a heist in all media that we see, heists are all about planning. Like if we watch a heist movie or something, Ocean's 11, whatever, there's all of this planning stage, right? All of these scenes of them gathering the crew, gathering materials, testing them, scoping out the plays, etc., etc., etc. All of this stuff, and it's there to get us hyped, right? As the audience, it's there to get us excited and be like, "Oh, what are they planning? What is this doing? Is this class specific?" No, it's not. That's the good thing. It's not. Um, all of the classes, quote unquote, they're called playbooks, but really they are classes in this game, are some sort of scoundrel. And they focus on different things. You have like the face, you have the mastermind, you have the sorcerer, you have the sneak, you have the overwatch, right? You have the muscle, and so on. Um, and all of these are the classes. You have like the technician, etc. um these are the actual, like, these are not the names of the classes, but these are more or less the roles of the classes, right? um and they all work together to make up a team. Like if you look at any heist movie, or like Leverage, the TV series, right, also has like, oh, we have the mastermind, and we have the muscle, and we have the smart technician guy, and we have the face, right? The rake, and we have the sneak, and so on, right? This is the team, right? Or Ocean's 11, you have again a mastermind, you have a face, you have the technician, you have the background characters, like the people who just take on whatever background role there needs to be, and so on, and etc., etc. But what about bratty Canadian flute elf who tagged along out of boredom? I mean, you can make your character whatever the personality wise. The class you pick is more about their specialty on the team, right? What skill set, what particular skill set do they bring to the team? The roadie. Yeah. Um, so right, so that's and so the players will tend to have these heist movies and such in their heads, and then they would go like, "Oh, let's plan all this out," blah blah. But and if they enjoy the planning, okay, sure, let them go at it a little bit, right? Skills being an absolute icon. Why not? Um, but sometimes like planning can go in circles, right? They say, "Oh, we need this, but then we need that. Oh, do we need this again?" But and so on. At that point, just cut it off and say, "You know what? We have some sort of idea what you guys want. Let's just go into it. Let's just go into the engagement role. Let's just start, and then lean into the flashbacks. And players will more likely use the flashbacks if they don't cost a lot. Flashbacks, it does say flashbacks can cost zero, one, or two stress. I personally would advise you lean more to the lower side, right? Flashbacks don't have to cost stress. Um, Flashbacks are not a punishment for forgetting something. They are a core mechanic to keep the action going, right? And using flashbacks and a quick engagement roll is what allows you to um to finish a score, an entire score in one play session, and finish downtime potentially in one play session, right? Because if you don't spend half an hour, three quarters of an hour planning, that is time you have to play on the score, right? Um, so really the whole planning stage can be cut into what do we actually want to do versus what do we need to prepare to do that, right? And if the players say, well, do we want to sneak into the warehouse or do we want to like outright attack it with big explosions and such, or do we want to find whoever owns it and like kind of get them on our side and like I don't know, have persuade them somehow to give us the warehouse, etc. Sure, this is still planning on what plan they want to pursue. But after that, okay, we want to go in guns blazing with explosions. Now we need to prepare explosives. Can you find guns? Blah blah blah. Yeah, planning is what we want to do, not how they're going to do it exactly. And that part of planning is okay because that is necessary info for the engagement role. In fact, you can prompt this. You can say, what kind of a mission is this? Is this a stealth mission? Is this an attack mission? Is this a social mission? Right? And these are categories that are in the book. Um, so prompt them and hold them to that. And then, right, once you have that, you can say, all right, what do you have that helps? What do you have that hinders? Is the enemy maybe very strong? Are they a higher tier? Are they a lower tier, etc. And all that. And then this will help you. And with the role, and then you just do that and go on from there. Um, yeah, and then you just play the score, and the great thing is the system runs itself almost, right? Because of this partial success thing, like if rolls go well, awesome. Um, then the players just get what they want. If rolls don't go well, well, you've established the consequences, right? And then that means, well, this happens. Of course, players have the option to uh evade consequences using the resistance rolls and all that. Then if they successfully evade the consequences, okay, good. But they had to pay stress for that, right? Which is another ticking clock. So stress is effectively their hit points. Um, and it's another ticking clock. And at some point, players might go, "Oof, I only have two stress left. I need to take this consequence, man." Okay, yeah, sure. A guard kind of stumbles in just as I leave out of the window or something, right? It's like, yeah, okay. Now the alert clock is full, and the guard like and or like the guards actually see, oh, someone is in here, they begin chase, right? And so on. And now it's a wild chase to get out, etc. Um And these die rolls, this is what I found, these die rolls help you run, and the game essentially runs itself at that point. Um and your role as a GM is more negotiating consequences and what roles to do and to establish truths. The clock section, yeah, it's a really useful tool. And you can have multiple clocks running at the same time, and it's um the clocks really enable something that Matt Colville, who is also like really amazing GM advice and such, um, he calls that, I think he calls that cascading failure states. Um, and what that means is under a more traditional system or traditional mindset, when you do things like a sneak roll or a stealth roll or whatever, you have the binary result of success fail. Success, you get to where you want. Fail, you get discovered. And that's not very interesting, right? Because if your whole heist depends on first sneaking in or sneaking into a room, if you happen to fail 5 minutes into the heist and you get discovered, eh? Okay, abort, we get out. All of that was for nothing. So the cascading failure states is essentially not having 100% success, 100% failure. Instead, you have something like, oh, the first time you fail, the guards become suspicious, right? They're like, "Oh, did I just hear a noise? Might have been the wind?" Question mark, right? But they start getting suspicious. Then if you fail the next time, the guards are like, "Okay, something is up here." They start becoming alert. Maybe now they only send people out in groups of 2, but they actively now patrol the area and keep out for things that are unusual, right? Um Fail again. Now the guards know you're here. They haven't found you yet necessarily, but they know, yeah, okay, we weren't like, it wasn't just the shadows or the wind. Someone is in here with us. So now they actively begin searching things. They might open up closets or like look behind under tables or behind things and such, right? Looking for people. Uh Next fail, okay, the guards know where you are. They know you're in this wing of the house, right? And then the next fail, okay, they have found you and are closing in on your position. And then the final fail is they have cornered you. So that's like 6 failures or 7 failures and such, right? That you can all track with clocks. It doesn't have to be a single check of success fail. It can be a clock of like, oh yeah, if you fail this clock, uh, over multiple courses of checks, then it gets filled in. Now the guards are alert, and then we open up a second clock. Okay, now the next clock is um, active searching, right? And you have a couple of checks to fill this one up, and it doesn't have to be just stealth. It can be things like opening a safe. It can be things like um, I don't know, I can't think of any examples right now, but depending on the situation, it can be a lot of different things that add to these failures, right? Um, and then over time, the players can clearly see, the guards are slowly understanding that we're in this house with them. Oh, we have to be careful now, and so on and so forth. Then you can have a different clock for the chase or something else. Yeah, exactly. You can have that. And then if the chase kind of sort of ends well, but the players do have to give up something, then you can say, well, okay, you get away from the guards, but you leave behind an incriminating piece of evidence, right? It doesn't have to be they are captured or not captured. I was thinking about incorporating this into other RPGs too. Yeah, clocks and such and cascading failure states, amazing, right? Heck, combat is a type of this, right? It's not like, oh, you missed on your defense roll or the enemy succeeded on their attack, you die, boom, right? That's not how combat works. It's you have this slowly ticking clock. Oh my god, ticking clock of HP and such that slowly counts down over a course of failures, and then only when you get to the very end does it get critical, right? So this kind of system already exists, but this is just more explicit and splitting it up into different states of the fiction changes, right? If you like, as another example, some RPGs do this where they have different like wound states. Things like, oh, if you take 3 wounds, then you're kind of winded and you take -1 on all rolls. And then if you take 3 more wounds, oh yeah, now something is definitely broken or you're bleeding. You only get 1 action a turn now. If you take 3 more wounds, oh yeah, then now you're just lying on the floor crawling around. You can't effectively defend yourself anymore. And if you take 3 more wounds after that, now you're dead, right? Same basic idea. It's just applied on a broader scale to a lot of different things. And you can use this for persuasion, you can use this for sneaking around, you can use this for chases, you can use this for um I don't know, like planting explosives, right? You can use this for disabling an alarm system, uh or countering a ritual, a magical ritual, or banishing a ghost, or whatever, right? And it's used in things like research and personal projects, etc. It's a good visual representation. Yes, that as well. And um so utilize them liberally, and you can just start a clock. You can just say, you know what, the fiction is at this point where if you fail this roll or if you get a consequence on this roll, it would make sense to start this new clock, because why not, right? um Maybe there's a timer of, you know what, you've been in this house way longer than you thought you would. The owners are gonna return any moment now. Start a new clock, right? Things like that. So this, you can just do things like this. Um, and these clocks are also very, very useful in things like personal projects, and I really encourage um for downtime. This is my next tip. So downtime, a lot of downtime is also a oh, oh okay. Downtime is also a big part, a very important part of um of the gameplay loop. And again, deep cuts. This is why I prefer running with deep cuts, because deep cuts, again, it restructures downtime slightly to get rid of some of the frustration points and to make it clearer what is actually happening. Because sometimes downtime actions will be used to prepare for the next score. But if the players don't know what the next score is, then they cannot effectively use these downtime actions, right? You can use downtime actions to do things like find tools, right? Acquire tools or research something, right? Stuff like that. And if you don't know that you need this tool now for the upcoming score, then you might spend your downtime action on something else, and then, eh, right, and then you don't have it anymore. So I do encourage to kind of sort of weave that in there. Don't go through it like a checklist of, oh yeah, you'll do two downtime actions. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? But more like enter into free play, right? So there's a lot of things that happen in downtime that are basically consequences of the score. You get entanglements, you get your payout, you get your heat, you get bloody blood, all of this. Do that, sure, but then slowly meld into free play and go like, oh yeah, this isn't happening. This is what the reactions to your score are. Uh, and you can make a roll here or there if you want, and then say, oh yeah, this is now the situation in the city as it pertains to you. What do you want to do next? You want to do anything to prepare, right? And then some players might go, yeah, I need to go heal. I need to go rest up and heal. And some players might be like, actually, if our next score is something like this, I want to get some weapons, man, because we're at war with this other gang. I want to try and acquire some weapons, and they can only know this if they think ahead. Um, and really do encourage these um, what is it? These personal projects. That's what I'm thinking of. Personal projects. So, like players can create magic items. They can research rituals. They can, I don't know, in a campaign I was a part in, I created a magic item and then someone else summoned a demon because why not, right? That player summoned a demon as part of downtime, and suddenly we had a second demon. That wasn't even our first demon, right? Um, So I already had control over a demon, and then she was just like, I want a demon as well, and just spent downtime action summoning a demon as well. It's like, okay, we have two demons under our control now. Awesome. This is not gonna go wrong at all. This is definitely a great idea. Yeah, give update to the world before getting input on the downtime. Yeah, or as part of that, right? You can like kind of weave that in there because downtime action, some players are definitely like, yeah, no, I got super hurt this last score, I need to go heal. It's like, yeah, okay, go do that. The player is probably going to choose to do that no matter what. um the more demons the better, yeah. And the other thing I suggest with downtime actions is play them out. A lot of downtime actions, and not just actions but like the entanglements and such, is things like, oh, one of like, I don't know, uh you've someone had a witness, or you angered someone, right? And now someone important, and now they're coming to talk, quote unquote, talk to you, just have a conversation, right? And things like that. And if you, sure, the game gives you purely mechanical resolutions. It's like roll, you can pay a coin or you can do something, take stress or so to resolve this. But I do suggest playing these things out because that will lead to very interesting outcomes, and that can develop the story some more. Heck, in my game that I ran, we had this whole situation of, oh, someone important got um not hurt. Was it? No, wait. Yeah, someone important got hurt, and now they're coming back to exact, not exact revenge, but like to have that conversation. So I ruled that as, okay, one of the gang kids that you beat up last time, and broke his arm, he was actually the son of a rich merchant who was just in the gang for kicks or so, right? A rebellious phase. And now the rich merchant dad arranged a meeting to meet up with you as like, yo, my boy says you broke his arm. What you got to say about yourself, right? Things like that. And I played out this meeting, and then the result was that the player character, or the player who went to the meeting, was like, "Oh, your boy broke. We broke your boy's arm. Here, let me break mine," and just took out a huge metal club and broke his own arm right there, which is like, what? Okay, that just happened. So obviously, the character then got harm written on the character sheet, broken arm, right? But then I was like, okay, how do I run this now? Demons are bad. Yes, they are. Hi, Petty Crew. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? Um, but that was like completely out of left field. And then I played that as the dad suddenly being very impressed, being like, dang, you're tough. And then turning to his boy and saying, see, this is how you take responsibility for your actions. And then he became an ally. I was like, here, if you ever need a job or need anything, come to me, right? And such. Like, they never called on that because there were so many players, like, not players, but like important people in the campaign and the story, that he never came up again. But like, can give you a discount. Yeah, exactly. But it's like the dad ended up being impressed by that. It's like, oh dang, right? It's like, okay, that can happen. So I totally suggest you play these things out if you happen to have ideas at the time or such. Right? You don't need to play out every single one. Especially things that keep happening all the time or things that might not be interesting in the moment, right? Oh, I rest and heal. Yeah, you don't need to play that out. But if someone has like a level 3 harm as like uh yeah, no, multiple fractures and things like that, or like internal electrocution, whatever it is that happened, right? Then it's like, yeah, you need to go find a healer. Let's play this out, right? Obviously at the end you still want the player to receive their healing. Still want them to receive their healing roll. But depending on how it plays out, they might get a new ally, right? They might get a new enemy, um, or someone might discover them, or they get a new job opportunity, or whatever, right? Something. Um, and this is also another tip. While the game itself gives a lot of things like, oh, how do we advance? How do we get new territory? How do we get new items? How do we get a crew of or like loyal followers or things like that, right? Um, this is all like part of that is definitely mechanized. It's like, oh, if you fill out your crew bonuses, then you can get another follower, and maybe that follower is now a doctor, sure. But don't miss out on the chance of just giving them things because of narrative happenings, right? Like that dad who ended up being very impressed. It's like, yeah, no, you have an ally now. You have a weak ally who's willing to give you discounts or give you jobs. But you know what? That simply happened because of the consequences of the scenes, right? So effectively, it is part of the rules because it's all about doing things and then having the consequences of that. So if you play out this healing scene, for example, where the player has to find a doctor, and then they find this doctor, they should, right? You don't want to play this out and then prevent them from getting the healing that they were hoping for. But they find this doctor, and depending on how they play it out, maybe the doctor is like really impressed, or maybe the player gives them a lot of money, and then the doctor's like, you know what, I'll come work for you. Suddenly they have a doctor at home, or someone they can always turn to. Awesome, right? Why the heck not? Just give them that. Because if you give them a lot of stuff, you can also take stuff away, right? Which I've also done, right? It's like, oh, a player used an amulet or something in a way that it wasn't intended to use, and they rolled badly. Yeah, your amulet breaks. It's gone now. Tough luck. You used it in a way that wasn't meant for, and now it's broken. Blech. So if you keep it loose like that and say, yeah, no, narrative consequences can definitely have mechanical impact, or mechanical results can have narrative consequences like that. If you interweave it like this, then players will be much more accepting when things go bad, right? When like don't think very the strict separation of mechanics and narrative. The game very much tries to blend them. And so my tip here is blend the narrative with the mechanics. Um or just have things happen in the narrative because it makes sense for them to happen, right? Like there were no roles during this meetup with the parent, with the dad and his kid, right? There were no rolls being made. The player just said, "No, I pull out my club and break my arm. Done." I didn't call for any rolls, but they still got something out of it, right? Because it makes sense narratively. And I think a lot of players, especially in games like D&D and such, which are very heavily mechanized and where the mechanics are their own game, uh, might be very resistant or reluctant to have narrative actually have consequences. right? The only consequences that are acceptable are mechanical ones because those are adjudicated mechanically. But like step away from that thinking and have the story develop as it makes sense. And if you give players things that they want or that they like, it makes it more palatable when then later on things go bad, right? That's that's my idea. Obviously, it depends on your players. It depends on what they're used to, right? And how much they can shift their mindset into something like Blades in the Dark. Um, which again is why I like the rules changes in deep cuts because they make it even clearer that um that the mechanics are there to serve the narrative. Right? But my tables aren't like that. A lot of narrative weight in our games. Okay, good. That's good. I have heard a lot of horror stories of D&D tables where players refuse to accept the narrative or narrative consequences because it didn't come from mechanics. It didn't come from a failed roll or anything like that. It's just the story, but then they don't accept that the story can actually have weight. Um, which is like okay, um, that they more want to play board game, which is also okay if that's what they want fun in. It's just a mismatch of expectations, and if you are playing a game that very much has this expectation of yeah, no, it's all about the consequences of player actions or player character actions. Yeah, you threatened the king. What did you think would happen? It's like, I don't know. I rolled well on my roll. I rolled a 20 on my intimidate check. You know? I'm supposed to succeed. I'm the player character. I know, right? So it's different mindsets of of playing. And if these mindsets clash, that's where the problem comes. Um thoughts. Yeah. So intertwining mechanics plus narrative, right? Um, and letting the world react to the players. And so letting the world react to the players is definitely something to do. Um, it's a lot of so when you're playing Blades in the Dark, when you're running Blades in the Dark, you're doing much more of a management sim than adventure writer, right? If you think of like D&D, if you think of DMing tips of like D&D, oh what is my role as a GM and when I run D&D? It's like you have to create good stories. You have to be the author is a lot of the tips that you get. I don't agree, but that's like the kind of thinking that a lot of people then go into. Oh, I need to be an author and a storyteller, right? I need to present an awesome story to the players that they can then follow. Not quite true. But that's the status quo right now. In Blades in the Dark, you're much more a manager. You manage a lot of the things that are happening. You manage the factions that are important right now. Again, not all of them, just a handful that are in the periphery of the player characters. You manage things like all the consequences that are coming up, right? You manage the narrative and how it develops, and you manage things like uh, play NPC reactions based on heat that the crew gets based on the things they have done, right? Have they angered someone? Have they fulfilled a promise? Have they stolen from someone they maybe should not have, right? Etc. Etc. So it's much more managing these play pieces. Uh, that is what you do. And when I ran Blades in the Dark, my prep amounted to 15 minutes before the session, just thinking about, okay, what happened last time? What could happen now? What are the consequences, and so on, and then just going into the session. So the prep was really just 15 minutes or so, um, which is really, really good. Um, but it like if you prep for half an hour and thinking back, okay, what happened? What are the consequences? How does the world react? What could happen this time? What can I like mentally prepare for? Um, and then you just go in, right? That's that I think is the attitude. And a low prep system. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the reason this is a low prep system is because the very detailed descriptions of the world that exist in the book and all the factions and a lot of the work was done for you. It's a lot of front loaded prep, right? This is sandbox prep. Just like keep in mind this is a sandbox. So any tips on how to run sandboxes, if you look on YouTube, there's a lot of um great YouTube channels uh on how to run sandboxes. A couple I'll just give you a couple of YouTube channels that I watch. One that does a lot of sandbox stuff, a lot of sandbox prep, yes, but also sandbox running, which is the prep has been done for you. This is running. So the one I watch for that is called Earth Mode. And there's another good one that is more the old school style, older D&D. Um, but also a lot of like how does sandbox actually work, how does all that work, is called Bandits Keep. And then another one that I watch a lot that has good general advice and a lot of tools that you can use is called Power Word Spill. Is there one more? I think there was one more uh that I watch quite a bit. I cannot remember right now. Let me check YouTube. But I think it was these. Right, so they have a lot of good tips on sandboxes and how to manage information and tools that you can use. Obviously, Matt Colville, Matt Colville in general, just very great. But his advice is more general. So Matt Colville, um, right, um, so yeah, so any sandbox advice helps for running Blades in the Dark as well. You follow Matt Colville, yeah, his advice is amazing. He's been in the industry since forever, like very big name in the industry. So his advice is just bang, it's on point. Um, very deep insight into things. Um, and he has said like he has become the official poster child for fourth edition defense and such. It's like yeah, that's I understand. Um, so yeah, so you're much more managing these pieces, right? Managing the factions, managing the players in the factions, managing various allies and enemies that the crew might have, how the world might react, the various projects and events that are happening in there, right? 40 got far too much hate, but that's a story for another. It is. It really is. Um, and so that's a lot of running it. And um if you can spare it, I do suggest you get Deep Cuts because it has a lot of very good advice. It's basically Deep Cuts came about because John Harper eventually realized, yeah, no, I run Blades completely different by now than how I wrote it back then, right? Blades in the Dark is pretty old. It's like what 10 years old by now. And over the course of the last 10 years, uh John Harper, the creator himself, realized, yeah, no, I run the games differently now. When I run Blades in the Dark, when I see other people running Blades in the Dark or reading reports on forums and such, right? It's like yeah, they run the same base system, but a lot of small finicky things, or like how they handle die rolls, how they handle downtime, etc., etc. They run them differently, right? Um, and so he just collected all of this and said, "This is how I actually run the game now." Right? If I wrote Blades today, this is how it would look like today. And it is kind of like a Blades in the Dark 1.5 ish, right? Um, and a lot of the changes that he made to the rules, I think, are good changes. Essentially, it's just 10 years of playtesting in there and saying, yeah, no, these are better versions of the rules based on the last 10 years of playtesting the game, right? And then yeah, okay, with that much testing behind it, um, yeah, you can probably come up with different versions of the rules that still have the same effect. Yo, hi, Cyrus, welcome. How are you doing? Or Cyrus? I am sorry, my eyes. Cyrus. Welcome, welcome. How are you doing? How was your weekend? I hope you had a good one so far. We're talking about some Blades in the Dark right now, because it's a cool system and it has a lot of good ideas in it, right? That are is also applicable to other games, right? So clocks, pretty good thing. Downtime, and yeah, the downtime. I got into a weird D&D campaign. We don't choose our class race or online. Wait, what? So like with pre-gens, but a whole campaign with pre-gens? That seems very odd. Um, we use those shitty personality Wait, what? Huh? That's fascinating. Okay. That so you take the personality test and then it tells you, oh, you are this class, you are this alignment, and what? That sounds like a lawful good human monk. Okay, pretty standard. You've seen that? That is so wild. This is the first time I've heard about these and that. Lawful good human sorcerer. Okay, those tests seem A, kind of biased, and B, just like people tend to be good people in general. A neutral good human monk. Okay. It makes some sense to take a test that informs your charge in. I guess it can, yeah, but I guess then you would have to take the test as your character, not as yourself. Yeah. You're taking the test as your character, exactly. If you take the test as yourself, that could throw off results very much. Right? Um, huh. I mean, in a way, that feels like a life path character generation in some way. Where instead of like just picking all the pieces, like picking your class, picking your alignment, picking whatever, you go through a life path, kind of like Traveler does, or how Burning Wheel does. Lawful good halfling ranger. I can see a lot of bias. This party is gonna be very one-sided, which can be good or bad. Ending. Lawful good vigil. What is a vigil? I've never heard of that before. Chaotic evil. Oh god. Wow, what a party. Vigil's a homebrew race. Okay. I've never heard of that one before. So but Dang, what a party. So that feels like it will immediately lead to conflict because you have a whole bunch of lawful good people and then one chaotic good person. Like if you play it out, that is going to lead to clashes. The vigil have this thing called ward. If the ward dies, the vigil dies. What? Okay. Let me is that available somewhere? Vigil. Uh oh. Giving me a lot of different things, but not. There's a 3.5 E monster called a Vigil. Homebrew. Huh. But okay. Um you are the Vigil's ward. Oh. That's interesting. You know the general direction to the location of your ward, but not how far away they are from you. A general emotional state, you know if your ward is in life-threatening danger, or within 30 feet of your ward rolls all death saving throws with advantage. And resistance to necrotic damage and radiant. That sounds very interesting. So like the ultimate bodyguard. The bonus action, you can touch a creature and shroud them in your divine energy. Creature regains the maximum number of hit points possible from the next healing it receives. Seven self healing spell restoring 2d6. It restores 12. Ooh, once you use this trait, can't use it again to finish a short rest. That's pretty interesting. Dang. Yeah, it's like so yeah, like the ultimate bodyguard. That's cool. Oh, ads are gonna start soon though. Yeah, I will have to get up and get a stretch and such. So I will have to. You want to know something funny about that? What? Mm. My character is an archbishop. Okay. So like a very important person that a lot of people might want to go after, maybe. And his god is Gale. Gale, I don't know that one.
Endure.
Oh, there's
In
the ads
enduring, grow strong.
from BG3. I don't know anything about BG3. I have stayed basically spoiler 3 thus far, so yeah, please no BG3 spoilers so far. Um yeah, but so I don't know what that means. Yeah. Yeah. Um yeah. Um but I can imagine that that's going to be very very interesting. Okay. But yeah, like I said, the ads have hit. I do need to get up and have a stretch, maybe go to the bathroom and such. I will be right back. I will see you all in a couple minutes and then I will have to call it at some point. Still have to have lunch and such. Yeah. But then we'll continue our discussion. Yeah, see you all in a bit. Okay, back. Oh wait, some more. But basically, each player also got these things called original abilities or items. We also have unique weapons that level up with us. Mine is a Throngler. You look that up. Throngler. What the heck? So it's like what, a sword with a hand at the end? That's a sword with a hand. That is wild. What the heck? Okay. My weapon is I have fought two demigods. A ruler of their land for a weapon was broken, reforged, and finally was used to lead an army. Wow. Seems like a lot of good stuff to give players, or just stuff in general, I guess, to give players. Um, Dang. Okay. It sounds like a very weird campaign, but one that potentially can be very, very interesting. So, yeah. My original ability is basically use Arise. Um, like from solo leveling. I also don't know anything about solo leveling, but not because I don't want to get spoiled, just because I haven't looked at it. I don't watch a lot of anime or such. Um, Allow me to resurrect people from the dead as shadows. Oh dang. Okay. That sounds pretty powerful. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Very much so. Okay, then let's hope that the campaign can last. But yeah, basically just a spell focus. Oh, like the shadows themselves? Sounds fun. Yeah, it can. I mean, Gonzo powered campaigns like that can be pretty fun if the GM knows what they're doing. Yes. Caught up with all the chat? Yeah. I also have a book. Okay. Does the book also do something really powerful? Book is filled with necromancy spells and things suiting necromancy. Oof. This this either sounds like, so I'm getting two thoughts right now. So this either sounds like the GM has never really played before or run before and it's just like, oh, I want big power fantasy, big things happening, give players everything, and then doesn't hasn't really looked at the game. Or the GM is trying to run something like a meat grinder, um, but like an overpowered high level meat grinder or something. Um, which, none of these are bad things, but it's just the image I am getting now from all the description of um yeah, of the game, the preparation. It will allow me to learn spells from other spell lists, but it must be School of Necromancy. Ooh, wow. Yeah, that seems incredibly overpowered. We are level 4. Okay. So you're starting at level 4. So it's not even like the GM, the Rise thing right now. I can only one person right now. So that means you can do more later on. So this is this is this reminds me of a poll Max is 4 at level 17. It still seems like quite a bit. This reminds me of a poll that I saw somewhere that was asking is like how important is game design knowledge for a dungeon master or things like that or like does a dungeon master need to learn game design or somewhere around those along those lines. And basically every single game designer voted yes, a dungeon master needs to know game design, and all the dungeon masters voted no, dungeon master doesn't need to know game design. And it was very interesting to see the split. Um, because as we can see here, yeah, no, a dungeon master totally does need to know game design. At least a little bit, at least to understand what is happening, at least to understand what the systems they introduce are doing, and or to design systems like this, right? My ultimate skill is the best. I can resurrect anyone with all their memory, emotion skills, but not magic. But there is one prerequisite for this ultimate skill. Okay. They must be willing. Ah, well, that's just how resurrection magic works, I guess. At least it used to work like that in older editions of D&D. I don't know how it works now. Like you could not resurrect someone against their will. And um like if you at least that was the case in third edition and such, like if you are being resurrected or raised, yes, but this one makes them into an undead. Oh, yeah, okay. That's a bit different, yeah. That's a big change, definitely. Um, yeah, but that does seem very wild as in like uh well, sorry. Sorry about that. Um, yeah, well, the soul must be willing. If they're not willing, the spell fails. Yeah, exactly. Like most resurrection spells, I think. I don't know about D&D. I haven't looked fifth edition. I haven't looked enough into fifth edition. But I know that in at least third edition, uh raising dead spells work like that. Where the soul could see who was raising them, like the alignment of the cleric and such, and could decide, nah, I don't want to. Oh, in 5e, every spell they must be willing. Just one spell they don't have to be willing. Ah, okay, okay. Good to know. Right, so they that part didn't change. Um, thoughts. Hold on. My brain is stuttering right now. Third level spell Revivify. Wait, only third level? Sees the BEG resurrecting you. Nah, I'm good, fam. Yeah, I think it is meant to prevent things like this, right? Um, or to prevent like the enemy from raising people. Like just if you want to kidnap someone just to interrogate them or something, um, and then it's much easier to just kill them now, bring out the body, and then resurrect them later, than to try and bring them out while they're alive. And then it's like, yeah, no, it's not gonna work because they you can't raise them. You don't want to. But those have material components. Oh, so you don't have material components for that one. That seems like a very powerful spell in general. You need a diamond with 300 gold pieces. Yeah, 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 you do. But then again, you know, rich people. 300 gold pieces for rich people is pocket change. You know, they just dig around in the pocket, pull out some lint, and oh, what's this? A bag of 300 gold pieces. Here. Evil NPCs often have access to different magics. They do. They do. Which is a contentious point because a lot of things is like if the enemies of the PCs have a toy, then the PCs want that toy. And they might try a lot of things to try and get that toy in their hands. Right? Revivify also doesn't bring body parts back, and they must be dead for less than 1 minute. Ah, okay. Okay. So it's more like CPR. or like what is it, the defibrillator that we see in movies, which doesn't work that way, by the way. The defibrillator is not meant to restart a heart that has stopped. It's meant to fix palpitations and such. But it's a convenient plot device. Okay. What was I thinking of just now? Right, toys. That's another thing to think of. If the NPCs have certain toys or such, I run things that they can potentially learn it, but it always has a cost. Yeah, exactly. And this is really where the power of the personal projects comes in, right? Uh, use those. So downtime, personal projects. Spell description: you touch a creature that has died within the last minute. That creature returns to life with 1 hit point. The spell can't return to life a creature that has died of old age, nor can it restore any missing body parts. Yeah, okay. So it's a magical defibrillator. Um, where was I? Right. So that costs a diamond with 500 gold piece to use. Wait, 300. Yeah, what? Okay, so it's a very expensive defibrillators. Um, hold on, let me see. Downtime. Two-Face, Fallout, Vaults and Banks, Entanglements, Development. Tier advancement. Aha. Action. Downtime. Aha, okay, I get it now. Yeah, but in my D&D campaign and the BVG cast counter spell and laughs. My old D&D campaign, the spell book allowed me to learn any necromancy spell from any list. There's a non-necromancy spell that allowed me to learn. Oh, dang. Oh yeah, any necromancy spell from any spell list. Sounds very powerful. Reincarnation. Ooh. Wait, what is reincarnation if not necromancy? Is it like transmutation or conjuration? Something like that? I don't know. That feels like it would be the ultimate necromancy spell. Oh. First one. um it's just like 6 or 5 level and only druids learn it. Yeah. TL Buddha was a necromancer. Buddhism is actually The new Satanic Panic or something. It's fifth level. Yeah, because you reincarnate into a completely new body, right? So it's like, oh, you change things completely. But like ultimate, I meant ultimate in like flavor wise. And that feels like, oh. And also like reincarnation fifth level. It shows how powerful magic really is. Yes, you also roll a dice because you change. Yeah, 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 exactly. You change completely. Um, right, let me finish this one. They must be willing. Kind of makes sense. Yeah. It's like, no, I don't want a new body. I want my old one. Raise my old one. Yeah, I can totally imagine that. Okay, hold on. I need to finish this thought before before it completely escapes. Must be dead for less than 10 days. Ah, takes 1 hour to cast. The interesting thing is, do any people actually track time like that? Like if someone dies, do you now suddenly start tracking days, or do you kind of hand wave and say, yeah, well, you traveled from the dungeon back to town. How much did that take? And suddenly days become very important, but nowhere else in the game do you track days, right? This is another thing. It's like there's a handful of spells and a handful of situations where tracking days, the passage of time like this, is suddenly super, super, super critical, but it only comes up if you ever have to deal with these edge cases or these very, very specific situations. Otherwise, tracking days and such is suddenly not a thing. And like, okay, so you suddenly have to pay attention to that. So, and you need these items to cast spells, rare oils, unguents with at least 1,000 GP, which this spell consumes. Dang. Someone needs to bankroll the reincarnation. My bard had a quirk with their reincarnation. Every time I casted it on someone, it was always my race, biologically my family. Came up with this after I rolled the same as me twice in a row. Dang! That is huh. That's very interesting. So at some point the entire party just becomes one big family, quite literally. Okay, okay. Um uh hold on. Right, right, right. Also I just remember a condition we can get later on. Lich's love? What? AC, my mindless undead CCS kin. Oh, that that's interesting actually. Only happened to an NPC my mentor, but I digress. um any mindless undead CUS kin. Skeleton zombie schools. That can be very, very helpful, actually. It's like, oh, you need to sneak into this catacomb that is like filled with 10,000 zombies. Bleh. I just go in there. I'm one of them. That sounds like a very, very useful thing rather than a bad thing, to be fair. But things like whites, banshees, the effect doesn't work on them. Yeah, because they're not mindless. Yes. But still, that actually sounds like a class feature that certain like necromancy aligned classes might get. Like there was this one prestige class in third edition called the Pale Master, and I think the Pale Master got one of these as a class feature, if I remember correctly. Maybe. Um, but yeah, it's essentially mindless undeads, you as one of them, and they won't willingly attack you and such. It's like, dang, that's really good. Um, so yeah, we got the idea from a story. Okay, yeah, I guess it does happen, or it does come up in some stories. Yeah, or I don't know, is it framed as a good thing then? If you say condition, it feels like it's framed as a bad thing. Um, where was I? Personal projects. That's it. So let me finish this thought real quick. So personal projects. Why is this good or important or useful? So the thing with personal projects during downtime is this is the way for players to get things that are not on their sheet. Of a story of a name named Astoshan, I have no idea. I've never heard that name before. So yeah, sorry. But yeah, with these things, you can do things like acquire items, craft items, research, or cast spells like big rituals, get contacts, um, or whatever, right? A lot of different things. And so this is basically saying if there is something you want your character to have or do, but it's not on your sheet, well, this is how you do it. You do a personal project and you just say, well, you spent downtime actions on it. You can put up a clock, depending on how complex it is. A complex ritual might have 8 slots, like summoning the demon that our party did was 8, for example. But something simple like creating my small magic item was something like 4, right? And then you fill this in over downtime, and then you have it, right? And you can prompt this by things like, oh, that NPC that we faced had something like this. Or you find a book that has information on summoning a demon. Do you want to summon the demon? Right? It'll take you some downtimes to research it and use it, but hey. Or uh players might say, if only we had this kind of item, that thing that would be really cool to have for future scores. Like, well, you can try to find it or make it, right? And so on, and that's how you lean into personal projects like this. I got a fun idea because of this condition we can get. So, like, what zombie guards? Basically, there is a spell named Animate Dead that allows you to summon a zombie or skeleton that you control, but you must recast the spell every 24 hours to remain control of them. But because of Lich Love, we could just use the spell, then store the undead away, and we just need to unleash the horde of undead that will not target us. Oh! Okay, so the undead remains, but you just lose control over it? Yeah, so you just have zombie guards like this. Exactly, that's why I said that power seems very, very useful and very good to have. Um, okay, how much longer can I go? Maybe something like 15 minutes ish or so. Yeah, I do need to call it at some point. I still have a lot of stuff to prepare for later on today. Uh, we can only cast a spell out of combat as it takes 1 minute to cast. Okay. I mean, you could cast it in combat, right? And then just spend 10 turns casting it. That's that's how it works in older editions of D&D, right? Different spells cost different amounts of time to cast. Sometimes you would spend 2 or 3 turns casting a spell, doing nothing else. Um, yeah, is there any other big tips that I can think of right now concerning Blades in the Dark? Uh, you can do the same, but why would we spend 10 turns summoning a single weak skeleton or zombie? Tough situations, maybe. Um, the Squall Heist. So yeah, there's a lot of good resources because zombie of 22 HP and does 1d6 plus 1 damage and AC of 8. That yeah, that's not very good. Definitely not very good. There's a lot of good supplements for Blades in the Dark out there. There's like some free stuff. There's the SRD. Like I really do you do the players already know the rules? Because it would help a lot if they know the rules. As you can just give them the SRD. Is that? Um yeah, I only committed to doing this game like 2 days ago. Yeah, so they have not figured anything out yet. Yeah, no, it'll take time. And I do suggest like having an extensive session zero where they talk through, oh, what kind of crew do we want? What kind of players? And yeah, just like one of every only one of every playbook. There's roll 20 things. Oh dang. There's full roll 20 integration. That is yeah. Okay. There's nothing. Yeah, it's and I do have to say some crew types, like you can take a look at the crew types as well, and you can just say, "No, I don't know how to run this." Like I very clearly told my players when we started out, I was like, "I don't know how to run a cult." One of the cult crew types is a cult, and I very clearly told them, "Yeah, you could pick this one, but then I'm kind of at a loss of what to do. I don't know how to run this. So pick something else or prefer something else first, right?" And then they picked the hawkers, the drug dealers, which went much smoother. So yeah, it's so you can very much say that, right? If you don't know how to run a certain crew, if you don't have any ideas on what to do, etc., then no one's gonna have fun, right? If you look at them and say, yeah, I have no idea how to run this type of crew, um, then just don't. There's enough choices out there. Uh, is there? Yeah. the list isn't on the SRD, right? But like it's in the book, and then you can just tell them these are the cults, these are the crews that I am prepared to run. Um, Anything else, like one or two, I just don't have any ideas. Um, oh yeah, you can definitely do that because you're at the table as well. You're playing as well, right? So, and if you don't know how to run the game, then they're not gonna get a good game. So it's should be pretty obvious. Um, yeah, so that's also something you can do. Oh wait, skeleton have 13 HP, AC of 13, also does only 1d6 plus 2. Okay. Yeah, so you really do need to overwhelm people with those small undead. Okay. And yeah, also just let the players tell you things. Right? If they have a contact, tell them who that contact is. You can always reserve the right to veto certain things or just certain things, but like let them tell you, right? Or like, what does your secret base look like? What does your headquarters look like? And some players can get really into it and like draw maps and things like that and be like, oh, this is exactly, and there's an entrance here and blah, and so on, and let them go wild. Sure, if the whole table is in on it. Um, let them tell you things. Makes your job easier. And I think is also something that is not really part of the philosophy or consciousness of how to DM. A lot of GMs are just, I must maintain absolute control. I must know all the things, and the players are just here to enjoy the ride. And you can play that way, definitely, but you also have to be aware that that is very uh, it takes a lot of effort, and some games are just not written like that. Blades in the Dark is definitely not written like that. A lot of player agency and player choice in there. And that's one more thing that Deep Cuts does. Like it gives a lot of choice back to the players in a lot of small things, right? So it removes a lot of die rolls from downtime, for example. Uh uh Yeah, so like and usually in downtime there's a lot of rolling, especially things like, oh, how did your crew do? What does it get entangled in, etc., etc. All of these things, there's a lot of rolling happening. Like when you heal, you roll. When this happens, you roll. When that happens, you roll. And then Deep Cuts just says, you know what? That's too much rolling. Let's get rid of all of that. You can still use that if you want, obviously, but it also says, no, let's remove all the rolling and let's have players choose between two options, both of which are good and bad, right? At the same time. So it again, it puts a lot of choices and their consequences into the player's hands, which I like. Um, okay, yeah. So that's so far for Blades in the Dark. Like if you're running it in a couple of weeks, like if you do have any questions, you can always come ask, right? And yeah, this isn't a game where you need to like learn everything at once. It's much more important to understand the system that runs the game rather than there's like no monster list and no spell list and things to learn, right? So that makes it quite simple in that regard. Um and yeah, I have one person who played it a couple times before. That's always helpful. Turn to that person for help. That is always good. Having someone on the table with you who knows what they're doing. Um And yeah, Blades in the Dark is definitely something I want to run again as well, especially with the deep cuts supplement now that the rules. And there's also a lot of lore things. Like it's not just rules. There's a lot of lore things happening in deep cuts as well, which is like it advances the timeline of the setting, or it allows you to advance the timeline of the setting, saying, well, this is like a Victorian setting on the cusp of industrial revolution, right? What does that look like? What if we allow this revolution to start, right? Whoops, I just closed something. It's okay. Okay. Right, or things like a bit more lore about some other parts of the world that haven't been covered as much, right? And so on. So there's a lot of ideas in there as well. More factions, right, to make things more interesting, etc., etc. So yeah, there's a lot in this. I do personally I do highly suggest the book. Um, it it does make the game better in my eyes. Um, very much so. Uh, okay. So yeah, we found a topic today to talk about. I mean, I always love talking about Blades in the Dark because it's not my absolute favorite game. That one is Don't Rest Your Head, but Blades in the Dark is a really good game. That is very clear on what it suits, what kind of gameplay is suitable for it, and then it just goes straight to that and says, yeah, if you play this game, this is exactly the experience you're gonna get, and that's exactly the experience I want you to have, right? And such. So it's really good in that regard. Very clear uh design goal with a design that follows through on trying to achieve that goal. And what I love as well is it is quite crunchy. It's quite crunchy, the game, right? Relatively complex and crunchy. But it's a narrative game. So I love how people look at it and go, "What? I thought it's a narrative game. How does it have so many rules?" Yeah, narrative does not mean rules light. Narrative can be very crunchy, just like how this game uh demonstrates. Right? So yeah, I do enjoy that as well. Okay, let's see. Let's move here. Yeah, all right. I do need to. I'm starting to feel like, yeah, it's 1:30. It's getting to be 1:30. I need to eat something. I haven't eaten anything yet. Um, and I do need to prepare for today. I still have to teach a class, and then there's the choir rehearsal happening, a big choir rehearsal where I need to be prepared. I need to be prepared for that thing, so I need to practice some more. This was fun. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. So it's yeah. I do suggest people to play Blades in the Dark. Like it is a very good um entry game, I feel like, into more narrative heavy games. Especially if you come from something like D&D, mainly because it's relatively crunchy, but this crunch means that it guides you. The game holds your hand in being like, oh, do you want to play narratively? You want to play a narrative game? Here's how you do it. It's not something like Powered by the Apocalypse or Fate, which is very open, and you already have to have the correct mindset of like, this is a narrative game. How do I bend the rules to my will, right? And Blaze in the Dark is much more here. Let me show you how it's done. Singing? Yes, singing. I'm a part of a choir right now that is preparing to sing in an opera, and I think today's rehearsal will have the conductor appear for the first time. Like the conductor is gonna come to us for the first time, and that's very scary. So I need to be prepared. I need to practice some. Yeah, it's so we will actually be performing in the opera. It's wild. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's very exciting, but it's also a lot of pressure and a lot of practicing and all that. So yeah. All right, let me look for someone to raid. Oh! I think I see someone whom we don't usually get to raid. But who is streaming right now? Hopefully not ending soon. Let's just raid quickly. So we're gonna say hi to Jaunty Jackalope. I don't get to hang out hang out there too often because of time difference. We just talked about time zones, so yeah. I don't get to see Jaunty live a lot, just like how they probably don't get to see me live a lot. But a very cool person. Let's go say hi. Raid John T underscore Jackalope. John T Jackalope. Get that right? I spelled it correctly? Yeah. All right. I should be back on Thursday. I have to teach again Thursday morning, but it's relatively early, and then I should be able to get to my stream a little bit later than usual, but I should be able to make it happen. Um, yeah. So I hope to see you all again on Thursday. And yeah, until then, do take care. Have a good start to the week. Appreciate you all coming by today. Stay hydrated and bye bye.